Hi, friends. Welcome to November Favorite. We have a plethora of different items, lifestyle, nail polish, makeup, of course. I want to start with makeup today. I know, funny. If you want to skip over to a specific category, our timestamps will be down below, as well as the chapters you can see here on the time bar. You can scroll over the chapters, see what it's about, click, and you'll be on your way. I'll briefly cover these items as I probably already have a dedicated video going over the swatches, demoing lots of colors, so I don't want to be repetitive. And of course, I will make sure to leave those video links down below, or you can simply type in my name, product name, and I'll pop up. Hopefully you'll visit that video as well. I'm going to start with Natasha Denona. I'm going to start with Retro Glam. I don't think this palette was as well received as maybe people were anticipating. A little bit of context. When the mini retro released, followed by the midi retro, the 15 pan palette with all the burgundy colors and the rose tones, people were expecting a palette with the khaki olive tones because you had 60s and industrial in the mini retro, and here we have the rosy burgundy tones. Everyone's like, with the introduction of Retro Glam, we have the sages. So interesting, Natasha went sage instead of khaki olive, and these colors are softer, limited in terms of the complexions that can work with all the shades. I would recommend that you visit Monica Bell Makeup. First of all, Monica is exquisite in how she applies eyeshadow without any mascara or falsies, and she got the angles like to the T. Alright, Monica went over the palette and highlighted the shades that she thought were fine on people who are complected like herself, have the same skin tone, and basically only narrowed it down to 4 or 5 shades, which a bummer that can't utilize all 15. And all in all, you get this more pastel, whimsical looking curation, which is not for everyone. I think it's specific, and perhaps you have shades in your collection already, 1 or 2, that can mimic that feel, kind of give you what Retro Glam could. Now, someone who is medium complected like myself, I can use all the shades, and yes, I'm sorry that I don't look like everyone, and I could really only speak for myself. With that said, I do enjoy Retro Glam, but I do also recognize its limitations, right? I actually applied Retro Glam with Lisa Eldridge Vega. We'll get there in a minute. I enjoy the softer sages that are found in the cream to powder, regular powder matte, and the clayish taupey shades here are quite lovely, whether to be used on their own or matched up with either Jazzy or Maxi. These are more gray taupey shades, and the sage green metallics I think are beautiful, and paired with the pinks also I think makes an interesting compilation on the eyes, whether you stick with all pink, all sage, mix it together. I like Retro Glam. Again, I understand how this might not be for everyone. You might be more successful with Metropolis, which is, I mean, one of my most favorite Natasha Denona palettes, the bronze palette, and Retro, even with its limitations, I think has a little more to give than Retro Glam. All that to say, I do enjoy this soft, sagey type of an eye, which I feel still different from pastel. Pastel has more of a white base. The more muted colors have a little more gray in there, so it's not quite the same effect, although I understand on a photo or video people would categorize this as pastel. I don't really think it's pastel. It might look pastel-y as you go deeper down the complexion line, which I understand, but someone who's around my skin tone, I think these shades would still appear a little more muted in nature, which is my most favorite element about this palette. So I had to include it in my favorites because yes, I know I'm speaking for myself, but I do enjoy the curations in here and just experimenting with the different combinations I run into when using Retro Glam. has been fantastic. I briefly mentioned Lisa Eldridge. Lisa Eldridge released her eyeshadow palettes as well as the singles that you can buy separately. This is Vega. I also have Myth, and I purchased her lip velvet in Sorcery. I don't have Sorcery on now. I have the Suku Sheer Matte Lipstick in 14 with a little bit of Velvet Fawn on the center. I really like this combination. And for today's eye, I kicked off the look with French Gray, went in with Evergreen on the inner and outer portions of my lid, and then went on the outer corners with Smoke and Mirrors. Went back into Retro Glam, slapped on Oz, Marlin, and then this is coming up soon, Makeup by Mario, I splashed on one of his topper shades. So this is what we have going on for the eye. I'll get back to Lisa in a minute, but ultimately my eyeshadow palette favorites for November, I've just been mixing and matching because I just love them all. Vega for me has been, I think, my standout favorite, and I think one of the standout palettes from Lisa's release. People went to Sorcery, which houses the turquoise peacock shades, right? Mostly I think in the, does she call it metallic lustrous? Those sparkly formulas can be found in Sorcery, and perhaps one of the more impactful curations I would consider next to Myth with the fuchsia and violet shades. Vega for me is like the ultimate everyday soft smoky palette. These taupey hues are just perfect in terms of giving a little bit of sophistication to the eyes, a little bit of contouring, but I think what ultimately I fell in love with is Lisa's Velvet eyeshadow formula. Now, unfortunately, I think with the velvets as well with Natasha's cream to powder formulas, the emolliency, you do have to compromise longevity. Because of that slip, and I think that ease of blend, naturally a shadow with that type of zhuzh, if you will, is not going to last as long and will break down more quickly than a traditional powder matte. One of you had expressed how the eyeshadows from Lisa just broke down very quickly, and I do recognize perhaps with the velvets you will run into that issue. Let us know down below how you mitigate that, if you apply powder over your concealer, powder over your primer, or if there's a specific primer you use with the Lisa velvets, you were successful in bumping up the velvet eyeshadow longevity. I don't necessarily mind, but I think one of my approaches is to apply as much as possible to maybe uptick the longevity and the color richness a little bit. But again, let us know down below, fam. That's probably the consequence of a velvet formula, is that it's not going to last as long as a powder matte, or what she calls her seamless mattes. And Velvet Sorcery, if you want to see on, I have it on in my Lisa Eldridge video. My goodness, one of the most beautifully formulated rosewood brown mauve like shades I've ever encountered, and I'm so happy that I picked it up. I was back and forth about it at checkout, well, before checkout, because when Lisa Eldridge drops some, you need to be decisive and know what you want. I checked out with Sorcery. It was the only lip velvet to sell out from that release, and I could not be happier. And I expressed disappointment in not picking up the Sorcery lip liner, but wearing Sorcery like I have, I kind of wear it like a blotted lip, where I wanted to purposefully go past my lip line, and I think it just gives it a little more, my lips, a little more volume, not shape obviously because it's not defined with the lip liner, but realistically I wouldn't apply lip liner. I rarely apply lip liner now. I would just slap on Sorcery, press it on with my finger, and I just love that soft edged look it gave to my lip, but that rose mauve brown color. I'm thinking about buying another when it restocks, and I have my eye on the other shades too, because man, you all have been like, I got this shade and it is gorgeous, and I have a little bit of FOMO, especially with Enchanted, that perfect everyday soft red, the softest red out of all the reds Lisa has. So it's on my radar. It's like going off every day, and I think I just have to I have to pull it. I gotta pull the string. Benefit Starlaa, the shade that I was waiting to purchase for months. Apparently, this shade in particular underwent some manufacturing issues. They had to take it back. I guess while they were being shipped out to the retailers, these powders were arriving broken and shattered. So they had to reformulate perhaps, but I'm happy that they did. They worked it out because this is one of the most beautifully, rosy bronze. Rosy bronze. Sign me up. Anything rosy, bronze, terracotta, whatever. Okay, I love those tones. I'm kicking myself for buying the mini box. I should have known better. I don't like the box design. If Benefit ever wanted to go forward, in addition to reformulating and introducing killer new blush shades with their blush line revamp, I feel like they could lose the box. I know it's a packaging design, very individual to Benefit. I remember when they first launched the brand, it was very quirky in terms of the product names as well as the component designs, but I feel we can move on from the box. I really can. You can make something cute that's not a box. Benefit, whoever works at Benefit on the design team, the component, whatever, who makes the things, listen, I believe in you in trying to redesign how your blushes are housed, because these shades are killer, okay? You could keep the illustration. We love this, but this drives me nuts. I have Starlaa on today. You can see it gives me warmth, but flush, a little bit of sculpt, not as literal as a contour shade would, but again, it's so neutral that I can pair this with any eyeshadow and my eyes won't clash with the shade of Starlaa, or I could just wear Starlaa on its own and it gives my complexion a little bit of flush, a little bit of life. I could wear it higher, lower. It's versatile in its placement, in its shade offering. It's fantastic. I love it so much. Going into Charlotte Tilbury, darling, the Pillowtalk Beautifying face palette I thoroughly enjoyed. Happy that I picked this up. I was on the fence about it, but you could check out my cheek palette video where I covered all my most recent cheek palette purchases, compare them to each other, swatches and all that stuff. With older cheek palettes, older favorites, that's a fun one. I enjoy the tone of the more red blush. It's not so literally red on the face. It has a wine type of hue on the complexion. The warmer pink is lovely on the center of the face. I have the highlight shade on today with Starlaa, and this shade I enjoy having in the palette because it serves as an opportunity to kind of bump up the shine lower on your cheeks, right? Without looking too textured. So it does leave behind a really nice glow without, again, overly shiny, glittery texture on the skin. It works well with other blush formulas, and again, I appreciate the softness of this texture, the fact that it gives you that shine, wet look, and not overwhelming the skin. So very versatile. We'll continue to use this not only for the end of year, but next year too. It's a favorite. I was ashamed to buy this Burberry eyeshadow, but not really. What am I saying? When I saw this, it had to be mine because I missed out on last year's eyeshadow palette, but this year's, oh my heavens, these shades are right up my alley. Easy, everyday, basic palette. However, for a luxury eyeshadow palette, these shades are gorgeous, shiny, creamy. They are giving, okay? You can combine them in any which way to create smoke and depth. Just barely there smoke for the day if you want. A little bit of twinkle on the lid, maybe the deeper shades on the outer corner. You only have two mattes here, but they are fantastic. Soft, blurring, blendable. My goodness. Paired with any of those metallic shades is a match made in heaven. I thoroughly enjoy it. I'm trying to use this more often, so this is why I'm reeling back on the buying, because I bought a lot in the last few weeks and I think it's time to hunker down and use what I got. And this week I want to dedicate to the Burberry Monogram eyeshadow palette because we've seen these shades before. I've expressed this in the Burberry video, but the way they executed this color story in the most perfect manner, I couldn't stay away. And when I had tried these shadows, I was thoroughly surprised by the quality, the finish, the texture, the looks that I created. You can't go wrong. Happy I bought the Burberry palette. And the last eyeshadow palette I'll mention is of course the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes palette for the same reasons I picked up the Burberry one. Basic, neutrals. Do we really need more of these? Well, these shades are magnificent and I topped them over Haus here from Retro Glam to give it a little more sparkle. I just love the ease of use of this palette. The mattes are easy to blend. The tones, I think for me, are stand out. You have a mixture of taupe and then a more like, I like to call this like more of like a rose mauve brown, which I think hard to come by sometimes. And then you have more of a neutral brown shade. But these sparkly Arcleys, I think, are so easy to pick up and apply. They're soft in the pan. And sometimes I find these shimmery topper-like consistencies get hard pan, but these do not. These stay soft in the pan, which makes it really easy to pick up with a finger or a brush. Again, there's nothing spectacularly different about the shades. I think it's the formula that makes it accessible for a wide range of makeup enthusiasts. Even those who are beginner level, they could just slap on these mattes through the crease lid, tap on with the finger these sparkly shades and be successful with the look they create. And I adore the fact that he changed the packaging. His first eyeshadow palettes came like in the mechanical clasp. This is magnetic, soft matte. It feels more luxurious. So hopefully whatever eyeshadow palettes Mario decides to release thereafter, it comes in this format. And I have to give a shout out to the Lady Gaga Haus Labs foundation. I've been using this a whole ton in November. I don't remember, hey Rhymes, is the Patrick Ta Cream Foundation, I think I used that in November, so I would consider that a favorite. I'm sorry I don't have it here in front of me, but I do cover a lot of my recent foundation purchases in my foundation roundup video if you want to check that out, where I swatch all the foundations, I try them on, compare them with each other. So if you want a little more detail on my foundation picks for this year, then head over there. The Haus Labs, again, I just enjoy its simplicity, the fact that it leaves my skin behind just looking more radiant, elevated, but still itself. Especially now since it's getting colder, I appreciate the skincare element that is heavily presented with this foundation, right? I don't expect the foundation to change the texture of my skin, but I do enjoy that when I apply it, my skin doesn't feel dry. In fact, it feels soft, and it now, again, because of the colder weather, leaves behind more of like a satin matte finish, whereas probably in warmer conditions, it will be more satin dewy, a little bit more dewy. So that's why I've been gravitating towards the Haus Labs, and more importantly, the shade match. My goodness, medium cool 330, the best shade match I have ever had. Even though I love my NARS and the Hourglass and the Danessa, Patrick Ta, I gotta give it up to the Haus Labs for nailing golden olive medium, whatever it was. This is me. It's me in the bottle. As I interrupted myself, I wanted to move into the nail polish. This is Holo Taco's Magnetic Magic Collection. I have, what do we got here? Fairy Tale and Love Spell. Yes, Fairy Tale is the brown magnetic polish. Fairy Tale is the purple. This was the one. A brown magnetic I do not have in my collection. A lot of the magnetics that I have are, you know, the purple, the green, the blues and reds, magentas. I love those combinations. But to have something in the brown, my goodness. And magnetics are a little tricky. I understand because of how close you need to hold the wand to your nail. If you're not used to having a steady hand, it could be a little challenging, but I've dealt with magnetics for a very long time, so I've grown accustomed to that application. I did order the KB Shimmer magnetic stand as well as their dual magnetic wand that has a zigzag design, so I'm excited to receive those in the mail and experiment. Perhaps the magnetic stand will be easier to use, especially for those who are not used to holding a magnetic wand over the nail. It's hard to get that sharp line across the nail and have it stay. Even though I hold the magnetic tool after I apply my top coat to ensure that cat eye look remains, nevertheless, I mean, it's not as sharp looking, it's not perfect, but I think you can still detect like that effect, no? You could let me know down below. I've tried all the polished colors in this collection, the green, the blue, and the red. The red is gorgeous. It's like that perfect, bright, almost a little like it's a warm red. And that color I like to do the velvet effect on. So not so much the cat eye galaxy effect, but that velvet effect you create by holding the wand on either side of the nail, and like the shimmers kind of gather in the center, and it has like that 3D shimmer effect that I feel is just beautiful. So I thoroughly enjoy this collection, and I was thrilled to see Christine finally come out with magnetics because I was waiting for that. Everything she has released thus far has been amazing, but I was, again, thrilled to see the magnetics coming out for the holidays, and the fact that we would get a brown magnetic multi-chrome. Perfection. Going into some skincare now, I unfortunately am undergoing a bout of eczema, which has left me perplexed because I have never underwent skin conditions like this. I've always had bad allergies. Let me start there. So bad where I would go in for shots like every 2 to 3 weeks and had to do that for years. Now I don't take any allergy medicine, and when that season comes around, I take it and know that it will pass, and it does with the sniffling, the blowing of the nose, the itching of the eyes, and the sneezing. It sucks, but it passes. So ever since I've had this eczema, specifically is called nummular eczema because it looks like coins on your body. I have it also on my shins and on my armpit area, and I wanted to show this because I thought maybe I had to stop using aluminum-based deodorant. Now, the conversation surrounding deodorant is a very emotionally charged one. I went the natural deodorant route because I could no longer use a clinical strength deodorant in the area next to my eczema spots on my armpits because it was just too harsh and drying on the skin. So I found a brand called Primally Pure, and they make a lot of different scented deodorants that's tallow based. It has zinc, what else? Arrowroot powder, coconut oil, baking soda, tallow from grass-fed cows, beeswax, non-nano, zinc oxide, essential oils of wild orange, vanilla, sandalwood, and kaolin clay. Again, it's not that I believe, natural versus chemical. I think that argument is silly. Everything is a chemical. While I understand there might be chemicals that are harsher than others, and then you go into the realm of toxicity and it depends on the dose and all that stuff. Listen, you use what you want. People feel very strongly about using a certain type of deodorant because they feel it prevents outcomes like cancer and all these things. Listen, I just switched because the aluminum was a little too harsh for these pits, okay? And using something a little more gentle has helped offset the itching and the urge to itch on this area, which unfortunately happens a lot throughout the day because of its location. But switching has helped. Now, when using a natural based deodorant, or I'll just say using one that's not aluminum based, you need time to acclimate, and I'm happy that I made the switch during the winter time. I try to make the switch over the summer, and that wasn't a good idea. Expectations when switching your deodorant: you will sweat now. in your underarms. That is the whole point, where when people switch, you want to teach your body that it's okay to sweat now here, but because the arms are closed mostly, you're not getting a lot of air exposure, and that, you know, with the bacteria kind of hanging out, that's what causes the BO. Using one maybe with zinc and all the other ingredients that I mentioned from the label will help offset that smell. But it's one of those things where the more you use it, the better it becomes and your body gets used to it. So yes, there was a time where when I first made the switch, it was like, oh, should I keep going with this? I don't know. But I've been using it for, I think, 2 to 3 months now, and it has become better. You will sweat still, so if you don't like sweating at all, you might just have to use something else. But I do like the vanilla and citrus scent. It comes in this roll. It's very gentle. It's almost like a balm on the skin, so it's nice to apply there. And my armpit skin is real soft, you know what I mean? I also bought their baby balm, which is also tallow based. I really like tallow. It's high in vitamins, really great for the skin. And you know, it's not the most luxuriously smelling thing, but it does help keep my skin moisturized. And the baby balm specifically doesn't have any added fragrance, whereas the other body balms from the Primally Pure line do. I have citrus mint, but unfortunately, the mint in there is not great on my eczema. It does not like it. It's a shame though, because I love the consistency of the Primally Pure balms, but a lot of their scents are just not a great matchup for me. So I like the baby balm because it's pretty neutral. If you want something nice smelling and you don't have any skin conditions like myself, then I would highly recommend the citrus mint. It's one of their best-selling ones. It's tallow-based as well. And it's also cool to encounter a brand that's like natural-based but not vegan, because that's always like a combination you run into a lot, right? Natural vegan. But, you know, we got some tallow in here, which I love. I love tallow. So I'm happy that I ran into this brand. I'll link everything down below, and, you know, just wanted to share, if you're going through some eczema issues yourself and you were on the lookout for different products to use on your skin, then I highly recommend those. Now off to the clothes. You know I had to add the clothes. Let's start with Hashira Studios. I adore Hashira Studios, and I'll tell you why. I had my eye on this Luffy Wano hoodie, which, look at the design. They sewed on a raised fabric for Luffy's scar on his chest, and then the Wano patches all throughout. This is what I said about the Zoro hoodie. It is so soft and plushy. It has structure, but it's not super flimsy at the same time. It's the perfect balance of cozy and, again, streetwear feel. This is a small. I think it's perfect in terms of the length, both down by my hips and the sleeves. And what I had said about Hashira Studios is that I saw that it was sold out, and I just emailed them to say, hey, when is it going to be back in stock? And they were so nice to let me know about around the time that will be in stock so I could keep an eye on it. So I just appreciate their communication. And you know, as for, because they're a smaller brand with the restocks and their limited supply, it's nice that they can communicate with their customer base just to give them a heads up, right? Because I just had to have this hoodie, and happy that I was able to look forward towards November in grabbing it. I also have this Tengen hoodie, which, oh my gosh, you have the Tengen eyes embroidered on the front, but you have his swords embroidered on the back. The vibrancy, okay, is just amazing. And then you have his kunai embroidered on the sleeve here. Is a great charcoal shade. I just, again, very much like the Luffy hoodie. Soft, super fuzzy on the inside, but has the structure on the outside. Adore Hashira Studio hoodies. I highly recommend you check them out, because if you're a hoodie person and you need these to be warm and soft, and if you're an anime fan, listen, even if you're not, look at these designs. Would you really care? You just see them and say, oh, these hit. Jynwaye, a huge fan of this brand as well. I had to grab my Luffy crew neck on the cream. This embroidery is amazing, and I just, again, love the attention to detail, how rich it looks on the shirt, and up against the cream color, I think it gorgeous. Had to also pick up this Kakashi crew embroidered in the same way. They are both small. I think, again, a great length for my waist to hip, also with the sleeve length. And we got JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Jotaro Kujo on the front, but look at the cap with the Gucci symbols. Are you dying? This is why I love Jynwaye. She loves to incorporate designer elements to the anime characters. I think it is so clever. So I had to cop this, and I bought this in a medium. I like the style of shirt she uses because the sleeves are extra long, so it does have that streetwear type of an oversized vibe, which I've been trying to look for in t-shirts, sometimes hard. Again, it doesn't have the same silhouette as a medium men's t-shirt. It has like a more oversized silhouette from the very beginning, and that's why I love the medium, because it kind of looks like a shirt dress a little bit on me. The purple is more like a lavender. No, I wouldn't say that. It's more like a muted violet. Is perfect. Oh my gosh. And we have by Studio Beans, my Zoro sweater. Are you dying? You have the Wano Zoro on the front and his sword on the sleeves with the green design. Super soft. Just, it has a nice weight to it. It's a medium on me, and I love the length. Again, that oversized look without me looking like I'm drowning in the sweater, okay? And then we have the Eren. Yes, I know I feel a certain way about Eren, but whatever. From Attack on Titan here on the front. The design is mostly on the front, but I just adore the movement and fluidity on the sweater. It just has a nice dynamic about it, but with the brown coloring, it kind of is chill at the same time. So I thought that was a fantastic combination. On one side of the sleeve, you have Nanami's ratio technique displayed, and on the other side, you have his curse technique tool in this violet color. And I love the design of Nanami on the front with his back toward us. I just kind of invokes his personality and his type of character. And when I saw this on Instagram, I was like, it's mine. I have to have it. And for those who watch JJK and read JJK, listen, Nanami is my daddy. Gojo who? Whatever. I know everyone loves Gojo, but Nanami, he's my daddy. And lastly, I wanted to show the Steady Hands version of the Luffy Wano design in a cardigan style with the yellow detailing, but still with that vibrant red backdrop and the blue Wano patch designs all throughout the cardigan. I have this in a medium large. I purposefully like to wear my cardigans oversized. So yes, the sleeves are pretty long on me, but it does have that cozy feel about it, which again, I adore. And at this point, I think I might have like 10 or more steady hand cardigans. It's a problem. I was looking through my clothes and now have to declutter my closet because it looks like I'm the one selling these cardigans. Not only for Steady Hands, but for all the other brands I mentioned. I mean, it has become a total and complete disaster, which leads me to my closing point for this video. Well, thank you if you've made it this far. But after evaluating what I've been spending my money mostly on in 2022, I do enjoy my anime clothes, or just kind of encountering these different brands that are not mainstream, that are smaller, that are artist inspired, and that's what gravitates me. And I think these types of clothes have so much more character to them. They're conversation starters. They invoke interest more so than, I don't know, Forever 21. And because of that, I want to shift my budget priority and spend less on makeup so I have money to spend on these types of clothes. That might make my channel suffer a little more because I just don't want to run after the new releases as I used to do last year, more so, not so much for this year, now even less for 2023. If I'm lucky enough to receive PR from Pat McGrath, Natasha Denona, Visyart, Linda Halber Cosmetics contacted me, so I'm receiving stuff from them. I'll cover those new products, and sure, I'll buy the Pat McGrath and Natasha Denona releases, but I think that's going to be it for me. Everything else will just have to wait. And I'm confident in that decision because in the end, I just want to spend less and accumulate less. I don't want to throw away makeup because I haven't used it in years, and I want to use what I have and just remember that FOMO I feel of not grabbing that new product right away, seeing everyone use it on the internet, hearing how amazing said product is. I just have to say, okay, I'm not gonna get it. I'm not gonna get it unless, again, if it's Pat or Natasha, I'm not gonna get it. We'll see how that goes for the new year. Going over everything that I have purchased for 2022 and trying to instill new buying strategies for 2023, focusing more on fashion a little bit more, because that's where most of my money has been going as of late. I gotta say, I can't do both, right? I can't do both. I have to choose, and my heart rests in my anime clothes more so than the makeup, to be 100% honest in terms of interest and all that stuff. So with that said, we'll see how long I can last, but I think with your encouragement and your advice, I'm sure you'll have something to share down below, which will be very helpful. That is the route I'm going for the new year. And we still have December favorites, but I'm starting now. I'm trying to instill these intentions now, right? Because then when January comes along, the mindset has already been embedded. We're locking it in now. Let me know what your favorites have been down below, fam. I would love to know. I will see you down in those comments. And until then, that is a wrap. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope this video helped. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up or maybe consider subscribing to my channel. And until then, I will see you on here again with another review tutorial, roundup video, anime clothes video, or best ofs. Take care, and I will see you again soon.